You can see here where I have a pretty deep cup. I haven't even touched that yet, so we'll just keep working. So I've got it pretty well scalloped. And I got pretty much most of the surface broken down. There's a little bit of chip out, but that's to be expected with the scrub plane. Now, I need to start working on it lengthwise, and for that I'll move to my jack plane. All right, so now that we've kind of removed that surface and done some basic flattening, we can go to our jack plane and just remove those scallops. Let's check that. Still got a little bit of a high spot on this edge, so I'll mark that. A little bit of high spot here, and got a little belly there. Still got the edges here. And you just keep testing until you get it just right. And we're close enough. That's as flat as we need to be. All right, so we got one side ready to go. Now that we got a side, we just need to move on to an edge, and we're gonna get our vise out for that. All right, so I've worked up a pretty good sweat now. So we've got the face flattened. Now we need to set an edge referenced off that face. So over here, I'm actually doing pretty good. You can't see much light coming through, but I still need to take a surface off. And then if you go further down here, you can see over here I'm actually pretty far off onto this side. So I've got a high spot. I guess I got a high spot over on this side. So I'll mark that again with a pencil and just get to working with it. The longer the plane is that you use, the more accuracy you're going to have. So we'll use our number 5 again for this. Now if you want to take, so like my high side's over here, if you want to take that high side down, just try riding your finger on that side of the tote. You'll take just a slightly favored towards that side your finger's on shaving. All right, so now we have our face flattened and one edge. So at this point we want to mark it so that we can keep track of where we're at. So I'll put a cursive F right here and then a cursive F right here. That way mark this is the face side and this is the face side, so we can make all our measurements off this. Our next step is going to be to now square this far edge to our straight edge that we've made. We'll do that with a marking gauge. You could do this to a point where you need to rip, and you can also make or buy panel gauges that do this a little bit easier, but a marking gauge is good enough. And this gives us a parallel line to the face that we just squared up. And we always want to reference off that face from this point. Alright, now we've got our line. Now depending on how much stock you need to remove for what you need, you can either plane to that line or you can rip to that line. In this case, I'm just going to plane to that line. Right. Now it's time for my least favorite part, which is flattening the opposite face. This is not particularly complex, and again, you're just using your marking gauge to figure out where you want to cut down to. I'm going to try to remove as little stock as possible to maintain the thickness. And since you know you have two parallels and you have a face that you've registered off of, you can mark from that face. So I'll set my depth. I want to remove enough, but not too much. I'll just go ahead and mark my line. All right, got one side, the opposite side. All right, so I don't really need to remove a whole lot on this side. I need to remove quite a bit on this side. So let's get that going. We'll go back to our scrub plane. All right, as far as preparing this face, I am dripping with sweat and I'm out of breath and I'm just about done on my last couple strokes. So I took, again, the scrub plane and took off most of the bulk, and now I'm just taking off the scallop marks with my number 5. I went down to my line on both sides and I checked for flat regularly, and now I'm just getting the last little details, almost using it like a smoothing plane, but just getting a nice flattened surface. Okay, I think we're just about there. A little belly in the middle, a little belly, a little belly. Take a couple shavings off the middle here. And just got a little bit more to go.